Hello, Cancer. Hi, this is Tarot Lumination with your love and relationship report for November 2017, and that's you, Cancer. We're trying to keep it short and sweet. No jumpers, no flyers, no reversals, none of that. Just trying to keep it just like a little story for you. I'd like to use what I think of as the crucible spread. It's on the understanding that there's you, Cancer, a significant other, a chosen relationship, and then there's the relationship itself, which has a structure and identity of its own. And in a healthy relationship, the two parties conduct themselves through the relationship, and they respect and they build and maintain the relationship, as opposed to what can I get out of you? What are you trying to get out of me? That kind of thing. That's all we're talking about. You'll see in a moment. Cards well shuffled in advance. We're just going to the last second for your witness. And you know the drill. Read, sun, moon, and rising, squash it all together. That's the convention on these tarot channels. That's just seems to be how people do it. So that's what we're doing here. And we're going to make the best of it. Okay, Cancer? Here we go. Sorry about banging the cards. I like to have the deck really tidy. I'm going to do a big split here for you. You'll see as we go along, okay? So this would be your energy, Cancer. Just remember, this is temporal. This too shall pass. It's just for November-ish, a little before, a little after, whatever. And this is a significant other, a chosen relationship, not just a random dippity-doo kind of thing. And over here is going deep into you, Cancer, deep into the other, and then into the core of the relationship itself. So can you see what we have here? This is the crucible. A crucible is a very, very tough container, typically high refractory ceramics that can withstand intense heats and pressures in chemical relationships, which is very much like what happens in human relationships. And in a really strong, healthy relationship, the crucible is strong, and both parties invest in the crucible and keep it strong for the benefit of themselves and each other. Okay, let's go. And then this would be the momentum, and this would be circumstantial energy. Let's just call it the weather. You're going to make the best of it because that's all you can do, really. You're not going to let it own you. Okay, Cancer, let's have a look what you got. The Empress. Oh, how delicious for you, Cancer. How totally delicious for you. So if you feel like, kind of scored here, Cancer, if you're feeling that and you're surveying your landscape, the landscape of your relationship, of your world, your love life with a significant other, however you want to put it, whatever works for you, you might be realizing that you're in a kind of a sweet spot where not everybody gets this. Not everybody gets to even have a chance at this in a lifetime, where both parties realize that they have something very beautiful, very substantial, very fertile, very creative, very, very luscious, that has all the ingredients of what just about anybody on this planet would love to have in a delicious, loving, healthy, happy relationship that can blossom and grow and continue to blossom and grow and radiate, not just between yourselves, like, how some people are very overt with their love and so on, like everybody has to know, because uh, if everyone else says they're wonderful, then they're wonderful. But some relationships, they're just naturally delicious from the inside out, and they don't have to prove it to anybody or anyone. They just own it and have it and share it with themselves. It's almost like, you could almost keep it a big secret and have all this delicious, wonderful energy. And that's just that's just fine. You don't have to show off or tell the whole world. You can just enjoy it. It's just like the energy of a really luscious environment for love to flourish in a relationship. I'm just trying to keep it broad energy. Okay, Cancer, bear with me. Let's have a look. What's going on with you? Queen of Cups. Okay. All right, Cancer. So this is almost like a Cancer card anyway. It's very luscious. It's almost like there's so much love here you don't know what to do with it, Cancer. And it's almost like a puzzle. Wow, what am I? What is this stuff? Wow, it's amazing. It's like this magic ointment. It's this magic wand. You press this button, that happens. You pull this dial, that happens. You look this way, and oh, it's just wonderful. What am I going to do with it? And you have all the best of intentions here. The Queen of Cups card is just full of love and abundance to the point where they're looking. It's almost hard to find a situation that uh, can handle it all. So, in other words, for you, Cancer, it's very important that you're with your loved one and that they are, let's say, ready, willing, and able to soak up all the love that you have to offer. And it might just be, Cancer, that you have scored in that way because not everybody is good at receiving love. Okay? Sometimes people are very, very hard on themselves. They think, I don't deserve it. But you might be very lucky, Cancer, in that you're in a situation, an environment where no matter what this card is here, it's very, very receptive. It's very, very lush. It's very fertile ground for love to flourish, love to blossom, love to grow, and to grow more love from there, simply by you being willing to be loving and be loved. But it's very much about being loving without even seeking being loved. It's just you, Cancer, being very, very loving. And it just happens that this is the perfect environment for that to happen. It can also spawn, like, the output of a relationship. Sometimes there's creative output. That could be children. That could be whatever you guys decide to create together. And whatever that could be. I mean, every couple has like a creative agenda. Are we going to like do property development? Are we going to start a business together? Are we going to have kids? Whatever it is, something that you guys create together. Okay, let's have a look at the other. What's going on over there? Okay, now we had this in another reading earlier. So, dear Cancer, you might be relating with someone who, in their own sweet, innocent way, has a little bit of a challenge with the delicious things in life that they can't resist. Let's put it that way. And just because they love life, they might be one of those people who just loves all the delicious, tangible, yummy things in life to the point of like, I can't get enough. I need more. I want another one. I hate to use the word the addiction card or the substance abuse card, but that's kind of what we're talking about here. But I don't think it is like in terms of a tragic kind of situation. I just think it's just a little bit of like, it's the energy of the guilty child who couldn't help themselves having a whole pot of ice cream for themselves. And yeah, they might barf afterwards, but it was so much fun, yummy fun doing it. But they can't help themselves. And every now and again, they binge out. But, it's sort of harmless, but also it can indicate that, it's a little bit of a problem too. Also, with this card here, the DEVIL card, it could indicate that you, Cancer, you're dealing with someone who's actually kind of tied up already. Oops. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Um, I'm talking about with another person here. I don't see any triangulation or anything like that, but because this is such a luscious, loving environment here. But in some way or other, they could be bound up, perhaps in their own ways of being or pre-existing situations where there is, let's say, a difficulty in relating to the degree that you would like to relate and share the love that you would like to relate, no matter how attractive and fertile the conditions. In other words, there could be some limiting factors on the relationship because you, Cancer, are perhaps in love with someone who's not fully available. They might be bound or tied or committed in some way that actually puts limitations on the relationship. We don't know. Let's just see. Let's just keep going. Let's have some fun here. See what happens. Let's go deeper. Wow. It seems like you don't seem to be too bothered about that. I don't know why, Cancer, but it's almost like, you know what? It's okay. You, Cancer, are not going to let that kind of issue bother you or worry you. if you're dealing with someone who has, let's say, they have a problem, okay? It's inherited, maybe it's genetic, maybe it's like a compulsion, whatever it is, and it's ADDICTION, that kind of energy, just a little bit, having tendencies. It's not going to bother you. In fact, it almost inspires you to like rise up and be more than who you ever are, who you ever were before, in such a way that you really, really do get to shine in ways that you've never had the chance to shine before. It's almost like this is an opportunity for you. I know it sounds really strange, Cancer, but it's almost like this is like aha. It's almost like it sounds ridiculous, but it's almost like you need a challenge so that you can be your best self, the nurturer, the caretaker, the lover, the healer, the compassionate soul, the homemaker who wants to make it really work for real. And it's almost like you need a project. I mean, it sounds very demeaning. I don't mean any insult to the one that you love here, Cancer, or the one who loves you. Perhaps they are very, very deeply attracted to you to the point where it's almost like, that kind of thing. Maybe they're completely hooked on you, but it's almost like you don't care. It's almost like you get turned on by that degree of intimacy and closeness and passion. Um, not everybody likes that. Not everybody's comfortable with deep soul intimacy or sharing their passions in a very, 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 let's say, raw, uh, open, human way where you're fully exposed all the joys and sorrows that come with human passion. It isn't just all about like having awesome let's say carnal relationships, because in a very deeply loving relationship you're exposed to all of it, the joys and the sorrows, and it can be very, very conducive for you. The whole idea of being deeply immersed in something like that could be extremely appealing to you, Cancer, even though some people it's easy to reinterpret this card as a bit of a challenge. But you might like that, you might need that, you might thrive in those conditions where you could be really good news for them, they could be really good news for you, and it gives you a chance to finally dole out and share all these buckets of love that you've got that maybe this one really, really needs right now. Let's go deeper into the other. Oh, look. So, Cancer, if we're honest here, you might be dealing with someone. They might be a sweetheart. You might be already deeply committed. You might be in the nurturing stages of relationship where you're still building out the crucible and understanding what are we going to do here, because there's no question it's a very delicious, opportune circumstance for both parties here. Is that what's happening is it's the exposure. When you put everything out there in broad daylight, put all the sun, all your apples, your fruits, your vegetables, everything, like everything about you and everything about the other is on full display in its full lusciousness. And you realize that, what is it like, with good wines? Some of those really rich, beautiful, satisfying wines, the ones that are really highly prized, come from grapevines that are very, very gnarly and beaten up, and they've lived through HELL and back again, but they produce the most beautiful fruit. I don't understand all of that or how or why, but that seems to be what happens in the wine business. So what might happen here, Cancer, you might be dealing with someone who's been through a lot, and they are sort of perhaps tortured in some way, in their own way, and deep down, it's almost like, I know this sounds absurd, but it's almost like you would love to be there and comfort them, because that's a gift that you have. You have the gift of compassion, Cancer, almost like no other. Very, very good at caring and loving for others, especially for someone who might really deeply be in need of exactly the kind of love that you have to offer. So if these cards were just off on their own, sitting off on their own, and none of this existed, you would be questioning the relationship. You'd be thinking, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? However, it could be that This is part of the dynamics of relationship where the suffering is being exposed, where the anguish that drives the compulsions. This is the energy of compulsion here, almost OCD type behavior, or very, very, someone who can't help themselves being who they are. And they know that. They know they have a problem. And in so doing, in the context of the relationship, they are feeling that their issues and problems are coming to the surface. So guess what? We go back to the old faithful thing of Tarot Illumination about reveal it to heal it. So this could be very, very, just say, soothing and very, very healing for a significant other, for you, Cancer, where you get to be the ultimate Cancer for someone who needs the ultimate Cancer. This could be someone who really is, say, needy, someone who really needs a lot of TLC, a lot of attention, a lot of care, a lot of nurture, who would really, really love to be soothed and healed and soothed over and over and over again, because there's so much pain and anxiety and suffering here, albeit in the mind, but that can permeate throughout your whole life. I mean, this is deep inside. Deep inside the other, they might be really, really tortured. And it's just sad. But guess what? That brings out the best in you, Cancer. It's just like, oh, I'm not talking about the old, victim rescue type dynamic that hurts and occurs in some relationships, but it might be that there's a little bit of that here. In other words, we might be dealing, Cancer, with someone over here who's in some way a bit of a victim, and some way over here where you're a bit of a rescuer. No harm in that. Sometimes people need each other. You might be the perfect complement for each other in that way. Let's have a look. Let's just keep going. Oh, mutual appreciation. That's so sweet. That's how I'm seeing it, Cancer. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm sugarcoating the reading. People write in all sorts of comments, and I know a lot of you guys appreciate Tarot Illumination, but sometimes it doesn't work for you guys, and you are not shy about letting me know. So I take that very seriously, and yes, it really, really hurts my feelings. But I learn from you guys too. So in this situation, my feeling is that I'm not sorry for what I just said about the victim and the savior type of thing, because it's a very, very well established relationship dynamic. Almost all of it, all of us have that in our relationship dynamics to some extent. I'm not trying to make you dizzy here, but it can be disorienting, okay? It can make things go wobbly, but you, Cancer, seem to rise up in the situation and find ways to make it work, so that it's almost like, look at me. Hey, DEVIL, you suffering with all your anxiety and stuff. Don't you worry. We've got this. We're in the perfect place at the right time. All the conditions are absolutely ripe for me, you, like you, Cancer, to come in and almost like, I don't want to say save the day, but be a really good, compassionate mate, companion for you. You get to be who you really are. There's no point in pretending this isn't, and maybe it's something that can never be fully healed. It's just that it's really important to accept reality. So if the reality is, Cancer, that you're with someone who really, really deeply needs a lot of TLC and love and care and attention, you could be highly appreciated. In other words, they would highly appreciate you just as you would highly appreciate them. It's very, very mutual. It doesn't mean you have to understand everything all the time, because this is very much a work in progress. So we could be talking about a relationship dynamic here, which is very lush, very fertile, where both parties can really learn a lot from each other and from themselves by being willing to be committed into a mutually beneficial relationship where both parties really, really appreciate each other for the truth of who they are. I mean, Cancer, you might be with someone who really just absolutely loves who you are and how you are, because it's exactly what they need right now in their life, in their world. Perhaps, like, this is a big, really, this isn't a singles reading. This is the big reading for couples, okay? So this could be a really, really good thing for you, really good thing for them. I know it looks scary, but I don't see that. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, so it is a work in progress. Let's just think Cancer, think long term. Be willing to do the work, stay committed, invest for the long term, because guess what? All that's going to happen is add to the fertility here. It's just in some bizarre way, Cancer, it looks like you really got lucky, and they got really lucky too. Like they found you, you found them in its own bizarre, quirky way that you don't have to explain to anybody else, because this can be totally private. It's like your own luscious kingdom where you get to be you, they get to be themselves, they get healing, you get to be you. And it's a long-term investment, a work in progress. And the more you commit and build and invest, the better and better and better this gets. Okay? So that's my feeling. That's how I feel it for you, Cancer. It is work. Okay? It means both parties are going to have to work. Both parties are going to have to commit and to continue to commit for the long term, on the understanding that it's a method. It's a practice. It's like creating a healing practice between yourselves and each other that works, so that like each time you work on these issues, you become uh, like a better healer. They become more evolved at who they are. That it works for the relationship as a whole, where it builds this luscious thing, this beautiful, beautiful thing that you have together, and it it, it can continue as well. So in other words, it's almost like, unlike a lot of relationships, this is a relationship where it can thrive and prosper and grow because it's so potentially fertile, and it's worth doing that. I don't want to say anything else. I'll probably mess it up if I do. So I'm going to stop talking now. Please reinterpret Cancer however you want. Make it work for you. Watch your sun, moon, and rising and mush it all together. Thank you so much for choosing Tarot Illumination. I love doing this for you guys, okay? All the best. I wish you all the best, okay? Thank you so much.